brain injury Hawke's Bay. Welcome to our community collaborator interviews. Today I am speaking to Nick from Fit for Football. Hi Nick, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Vicki. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to have you here. Nick, would you like to tell us about your role at Fit for Football?
Yeah, so I'm part of the Fit Football team, and there's 7 of us in each federation or each region. And one of our primary roles is player welfare, and included in player welfare is not only injury prevention, but also education on concussion. So we go around the community and we educate on all aspects, but one of the roles is concussion.
Awesome. And so you're out and about at community events?
Yeah, so we do a wide range of events, so football tournaments, we're seen at Ames games, so you may have seen us around with our flags and tents and things like that, and that's essentially what we do. We're out there educating not only at events but also smaller tournaments as well, within football, and some with the exception of Ames games as well.
Awesome. And we have seen you at Super Sixes the last couple of years here in Hawke's Bay, and you guys have a pretty great setup.
Yeah, so we're pretty fortunate. So I should mention that we are in partnership with ACC. So we are fortunate that they do support us as well. So it allows us to have that set up to help everyone get to a better place. Yeah.
Awesome. Can you give us a really quick brief kind of what is your concussion spiel? What would you like to tell people about concussion?
So the main thing for me, and I guess for our team, is that everyone's responsible. So it's not anyone's sole responsibility in terms of concussion awareness. So whether you're a player, a coach, a parent, or an official, everyone is involved in some way, shape, or form, and it doesn't necessarily rely on just the coach or just the players. And it really is a collaborative effort from maybe the players recognising it, for the referee or official recognising it, and then from there, the players as well, or the person who's suffering from the concussion, understanding the next steps to take, because we know that concussions vary. You know, they can be minor to the more severe, and if you're not too sure where to go, having places like Brain Injury Hawke's Bay available as a resource is actually crucial as part of the recovery process as well. So it's really that wraparound approach and understanding where you fit in and what stage you're at. So that's really the holistic picture, I guess, is the first step is recognizing and understanding where you fit within that picture, whether you're a player, coach, or parent.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, yeah, you're so right. It is about bringing all those things together, isn't it? And that everybody being on the same page around concussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of the, I suppose it's one of the steps that a lot of people, when they do suffer from a concussion, aren't exactly sure where to go. So we know that, and definitely in the New Zealand football policy, if you do suffer from a concussion, you do go and see a doctor for diagnosis, and then from there you go into graduated return to play. But even from there, sometimes the steps after that can be quite different for every individual, depending on what region you're in. So for instance, as you say, yeah, you know, we've got you in Hawke's Bay, which is fantastic. But if you're in, say, Palmerston North, where I'm based, you may not have that available. So you don't know who to go to. So I think that's really one of the keys as well, is if you know anyone that's had a concussion or suffered from one, having a chat to them so that they can help you get the best care. Because, you know, unfortunately, it'd be great to say that everyone knows everything about concussion, but that's not the reality, and not everyone is as specialised and knows quite as much, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, and sometimes you kind of do have to seek that out yourself a little bit and find that information. And I think a big part too of it, you know, we can't see it, so only the person with the concussion knows their symptoms, and if they don't speak up about it,
you're 100% right, and that's actually part of the process of what we try and educate players on as well, and even parents and coaches, because within the recognised guidelines, which we can go through later on, is that the signs and symptoms is what they're going to be feeling. You as the sufferer, you are going to be feeling those symptoms. So if you don't tell anyone, we have no way of knowing that you are going through that. And I think that's probably, you're absolutely right, that's one of the key messages, because we can only see a potential knock,
Yeah.
or a potential concussion, but we don't know what you're feeling. So if you're not saying that, oh, I am dizzy, I do have a headache, anything like that, nauseous, and if you're not telling anyone, then there's not much anyone can do for you.
Yeah, and it's also sometimes the associating the two events, isn't it? Because if you've had a blow to the head or just that big force to the body, and then you've got those, those symptoms and those feelings happening, lots of us on every day have got a headache or don't feel great. So it's linking the things together, or recognizing for your teammates that you've seen this happen and now you're seeing some of these symptoms in them.
Yeah, 100%, because we know as well through the education that the signs and symptoms can actually take hours or even days to appear. So you might actually be at work or back at school 2 days later, and then you might actually start to get a really big headache, and then relating that back to the potential event versus you just maybe a bit dehydrated and it's a hot day. The difference is there in understanding. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I've been in things before, and I'll kind of say, like, if you look around the room now, we've probably all got 1 or 2 concussion symptoms going on, of feeling a bit fatigued, or like the headachy. It's quite, some of it can be quite standard stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, you're absolutely right. It's just understanding the simple differences. So
yeah,
whether or not you were able to do something competently versus now when you're not quite as competent. And that's actually one of the tools that we use when we're educating. We actually, and I've seen Brandon talk today as well, you've got the concussion goggles that simulate a concussion, or just one of the symptoms. And that's one of the keys for the players and parents to even, and coaches to understand how it might affect them. And say for instance in football terms, if you were just kicking the ball at the goal, something very, very basic, but at the time when you've suffered, or if you're suffering from concussion, that might actually be actually quite hard for you to actually achieve. And it's just understanding the differences of what previously really achievable, really, really simple and easy, versus now you've got a concussion, that simple task is slightly harder than actually before.
Yeah. And so do you want to tell us a little bit about Recognise, the first R?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's essentially four steps, and there's actually ACC has actually provided these small little guides, and these are actually really, really handy. So it actually outlines the steps that you should take if you've seen a concussion. So we are going to talk about Recognise, but it's got everything in there. And ACC actually provides a secondary resource, which is actually slightly larger, and for coaches and players as well, outline all the steps there. So if you do want any of these resources, you can head to the ACC website, or you can get in touch with any of your, depending on what sport you're in, you may have a team. For us, it's for football, so you can get in touch with us through that. So Recognise really covers 4 main steps, and it's just seeing the initial event, obviously, but then the physical signs, the memory signs, the clinical signs and symptoms, and then the red flags, which are obviously the more severe circumstances that you want to look into. So the first step is obviously recognising the physical signs, and that's generally what you're going to be able to see. So this might be the loss of consciousness, which is clearly obvious that concussion is highly likely to have occurred. The other ones are, your grabbing, clutching of the head, the dazed and vacant look. And then from there, you've got memory signs. So, generally the simple questions that you can ask. Now, it's really important in this step, and I can't emphasize this enough, is asking the questions that are appropriate for that individual. So don't ask a question that no one's going to know the answer to. As well as if you're traveling, things like that to consider, what venue are you at today, which is generally a pretty easy question. But if they don't drive themselves to the venue, they're not going to know the answer. So having a little think about those questions. The clinical symptoms, and this is really where the sufferer has to be honest, and this is what they are going to feel, and it might be the neck pain, the nausea, the irritability, blurred vision, all that kind of stuff, but it does rely on an individual to tell you all of those, and it's very hard, and you've got to be honest with yourself. I've suffered from concussion before, and I know definitely there has been times where I've really had to question my integrity a bit there, because you're in a final or something like that. Knowing what I know now, 100% honesty, best policy all the time. Do not take that chance, okay? For anyone that's listening out there. And then the last one is the red flags, which is what is going to require urgent medical attention, and if it's any of those, the first aid principles apply. Okay, so straight away into your first aid stuff, and that's, you know, if they're complaining of neck pain and, you know, took a heavy knock, repeated vomiting, seizures, you know, the really, really bad stuff, and then severe increasing headache, again, is another clear indicator that it's actually more than just a minor concussion. So those are the main 4 steps that you can use to help you recognise a concussion.
Want to just run us through again how we can get in touch with you for some resources or more information?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I've alluded to, there's obviously, if you're based in Hawke's Bay and you're watching this, Brain Injury Hawke's Bay, head to them. They're great.
We have the Sports Smart resources too, so we can drop them off to you.
Fantastic. And if you do work within football or even within a school, okay, so if you're involved in the school, you can head to our website, which is fitforfootball.co.nz, and you can get in touch with us under the About Us. And there's got all our contact details. There's one of us in each region, okay, so you will be able to get in touch with us, and we can come out and we can either talk to your sports codes or talk to your teachers or whoever you want us to talk to, and we can hand out these resources to you. So absolutely, get in touch with us and we'll be more than happy to come out.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Nick. Great to hear about all the work you guys are doing. And we are looking forward to seeing you back out and about as events kind of come back on board. And we'll see you around.